Welcome everyone to the June meeting of Saginaw City Planning Commission. If you are here to present a case, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and make your presentation. We may ask you questions for clarity or for more information. Simple majority vote of the members present will decide your request. If you're here to speak in the public comment phase of the meeting, please also come to the podium. Give us your name and address for the record and direct your comments to the commission. We have no time limit, but brevity is appreciated. Let's begin with the roll call. Mr. Faust.
Jones. Here. Nightingale.
Present.
Hanley.
Here.
Bryant.
Present.
Braley. Doan.
Here.
Zawerko.
Here.
Nash.
Present.
Very good. We have minutes from our previous two meetings to approve: the February regular meeting and the special meeting that was held May 15th. Do I hear any additions, corrections to those minutes? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve
Move to approve.
the minutes. Moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have the agenda before us. Do we hear any additions to the agenda?
We have one subtraction.
Okay,
The parliamentary procedure presentation will not be given. Janet couldn't be here tonight.
so we will do that at some point in the future, I assume. Okay, that has been delayed several times now. We'll get to it. All right.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Do we need approval of the minutes from the May 15th?
We already did. We did them all at once.
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah, we did them both. Moving then to new business. Our first case, number J180019, for a new convenience store on South Washington. If someone is here to present for that, you may take the podium.
My name is Gary Kowalski. I represent the Party Store. My address is 9742 Gratiot, Saginaw. And I'm sure you've looked over the documents that we've given you. Basically, what we'd like to do is build a new building behind the existing store. Once that is completed, or pretty close to complete, we will remove the front building and remove that. And then we'll have a new convenience store, about 3,000 square foot.
Do we have any questions or comments? I have one question, I guess for Mr. Faust, or from both of you. Is one catch basin going to be enough for this new, bigger area that we're going to be covering?
We are hopeful. We're waiting on engineering, to get back with us on that. As of this afternoon, I believe they have not got back with us, correct?
No, I talked to engineering this morning and they had hoped to have something for us for the meeting, but I did not receive anything.
So
I talked with Beth London about that catch basin. She had to look at the 100-year drainage calcs and see if that was possible, that one catch basin would be enough. But as of this morning, they had not looked that deeply into it yet. So anything you do tonight will have to be
contingent on
your
engineering.
approval.
I have a question also
Yes.
for staff. Is there a fence requirement because of the adjacent R2 properties?
There's a fence requirement to the north and to the east. And it would have to be a 6-foot fence. I believe there's a fence there now. Yeah, there is one there now. There'd probably have to be one built to the north.
To the north, yes. Yep.
I'm sure I'm correct, and our first graphic here shows a home on that property, which is not there now?
Yes, the home has been demolished by the land bank.
Okay.
It's been gone for quite a while,
Uh,
right? A while.
since spring, earlier spring.
Okay, definitely vacant now.
Yes,
It
definitely.
was vacant when I drove by there this afternoon. Is there a plan for any landscaping at all?
There is in the green belt area between the buildings and the side road and towards the rear. Not so much on the front, most of it's sidewalk and parking, but on the sides, we're basically lawn, a little bit of shrubbery, a little bit of edging and stone.
So there would be not enough room for trees, or,
Possibly a tree on the west side, not so
Okay.
much on the back because of, just the neighboring home there.
the construction is a type of faced concrete block. Can you give us an idea what that looks like?
It's basically a split-faced, where it's not just a flat block, it's basically irregular shaped and pretty much laid up like block, and then it's got a decorative color, a band about midpoint.
Do we know what color it's going to be?
Probably gray, yeah. The owner's here with me tonight, and that
And the
would be up
roof
to
color
him.
would be what?
Roof color would be black possibly, or dark gray, yeah. Yeah. Not anything jumping off the wall at us, pretty much just neutral colors.
Do you have a plan for any additional windows? Because I don't even see one window.
At this point, we do not. Basically, it's just a storefront. Basically, it's security and vandalism is, the main objection, to the windows in the structure.
For staff, are any windows required?
No windows are required.
I did have that question also, and several times, and I think more times in the future, we've talked about the appearance, the public appearance, the street appearance of buildings that we approve, which so often, as in this case, there are no windows. And it affects the, for lack of a better word, the neighborliness of a structure. We dealt with this with the dollar store on Genesee. They put in a kind of a window, which is not really a window. And so I'll just register my thought that I appreciate the need for security. But if we wind up with a city full of buildings with no windows, that's not very welcoming. And we, I think, have dealt with this in our planning for downtown and our issues with facade improvement and our interest in two-story buildings where one story, the first story is possibly a retail store, the others are apartments above that, and there are windows. And so some of us remember when there was a South Side business district, and those buildings had windows, and we can't go back to that time, but we need to keep this in mind, I think, about how our city is going to look. And if it turns out we're full of buildings with no windows, I'm not sure that's something we want. Any thoughts, Mr. Faustin?
I'm in agreement with what you say on that. From what I've read and different people that have written about the issue, windows create a safer neighborhood. The way our zoning ordinance is set up at this point, in the riverfront mixed-use district, windows are required because of our new form-based code. And they were somewhat required before when the Family Dollar was built because of the riverfront guidelines. in a B1 and B2 area and businesses that are in the neighborhoods at this point, windows are not required. But I understand what you're saying. I think the idea of windows, it makes it so that more people can look out on the street and see what's going on. And I know in this day and age, video cameras take care of some of that purpose, but it's not as welcoming. And I hear that from other people with other stores in the neighborhood, in the different neighborhoods. At the same time, I understand the security standpoint. And at this point, our ordinance doesn't require windows. I think when you were talking about the other party store that had come to us last year on,
Yes.
further down on Washington, I think the other thing, and I think you accomplished it somewhat in this plan, is that at least it's not a solid wall, all of one color. It's broken up, the
Yes.
design of the wall is broken up a little bit. So, those are my
Especially-
thoughts.
Oh, sorry, especially on that side that's facing Washington, at least the front of the building has a door. I still would like to see a window, at least one window on either side, but especially that side that faces Washington. Not one window.
Could we do something possibly in the stone or a brick to make it look like an illusion? A window insert where we can project the bricks in a, let's say, a 8-foot width by 6-foot tall pattern that kind of breaks that cement block, wall up. Would you be satisfied with something like that? Just trying to keep away from the glass, you know what I mean, and the breakage and things like
And
that.
that's similar to what we experienced with the gas station that went in
Okay.
to the, a little bit south of the road. But we still really appreciate them putting like windows in there, because that makes it look a ton better.
Not echoing on Mr. Bryan. I mean, just kitty corner from here, the whole building is all glass. Saginaw the underwriters, and that's only 10 blocks away. I mean, I understand your point.
Yeah.
I'm across the street and I got 12 windows. And I've been there 20 years. I've only got I got broken into once. But that was by the pros. The pros are gonna break it anyway. They want to get in, they're gonna get in.
Sure. What are your thoughts, Mike, on that? Can we put them up higher on the building, like transom windows? Above that 8 feet is what we'd like to achieve, just for,
And you could also make them there that they're not big enough to go through, just, you know what I mean?
oh, you'd be happy with something like that? I mean, that we could do, we could put little transom windows across, the top up, above that 6-foot level, just, to deter,
If I can interject, when we had this other issue with the Family Dollar store, that was part of the Riverfront district. I think the Riverfront district, for them, stops at Rust, so
Yes.
they're out of it.
Right.
So that kind of, it went to the Riverfront Commission, they presented that, and I'm on that commission as well, and we told the architect and the people involved that what we would like to see is that building mirroring the same kind of feeling at Michigan and West Genesee. And so they did their best to do that. Now, if you looked at the Walgreens and the Rite Aid, their window was way up. They're getting some natural sunlight, and you can't really scale that wall to get in, but I think that might help the situation. If you kind of look at that, if you drive past it, you'll see that.
Just this is aesthetically on Washington.
okay.
Yeah.
Are we all right with the door wall on that one side, so that can stay as remains, but basically the west side, then we would need some windows addressed there? And that we
Well,
can
I
do, as
think
long
that
as we
is-
can have them up, higher and smaller,
I personally would like to see it on both. If it's gonna face Washington, we'd like to see the glass in that full, what is it, that cinder block, but then at least something on the front too. I would say something on at least both sides.
But just make it, like I say, road kind of proof.
Okay, yeah.
But I guess
They're not gonna go through a window, they're gonna go through the door. You know, they're gonna break the door down and go in, you
And-
know?
And that's why, you know, I mean, considering the door is all glass also, so it's really, it's easier sometimes to get through a window than one of those doors. But if they're up higher
I
and
understand.
smaller, they're gonna go for the door, they're not gonna go for that window.
Right.
So I think we can live with that, we can accommodate you there.
Well, you know, and looking at the direction that these are facing, they're facing an area that you can see, neighbors can see,
Mhm.
if anybody's messing with the building, and we'll call the police. You know, I would, if I lived over there, I'd call the police. The other question I have, so the curb cuts are gonna stay the same,
As planned at this point, yes.
and you're gonna block off the curb cut that the vacant house is
Yes.
missing? Okay.
Because that's further back. Yep.
What is your plan to begin this?
As soon as we get all approvals and get engineering back to us, we hope to start with just a couple weeks,
And what's your estimate about as far as the duration of the project?
about 3 months from start to finish. Want to beat the winter, that's, you know, coming right around the corner.
Don't say that.
Or it hasn't left yet.
We probably should not end this discussion without saying something about the fact that we appreciate the growth of your business. Obviously, from an 18 or 1,900 square foot store to a 3,000 square foot store means that you are doing well, and I expect to do better. So, that's a good thing. But we are concerned a lot. As we are the only body that has the responsibility to be concerned with the appearance of our community. So, you know, that has always been a part of what we do here, and I think in recent months and even the last few years, it's become more obvious to us that we need to think about that a lot more.
This is a sad question to ask though. So how many windows are on your existing building?
Right now, we have higher window, but the problem is a lot of time the kids will grow up, and that's the only my concern. A lot of
Yeah.
times we just do it for the holidays.
Oh, that, yeah.
BB gun, and sometimes we shoot real gun in the nighttime when we gone. I mean, we have a safe neighborhood, but the only thing, you know, is concerning me is like after we call 11 o'clock, like 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, somebody pissed or somebody just wanna shoot down or something. That's what my concern for the.
Do we have any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion on the case, which ought to reflect, I guess, what we have said about windows. So, we would like to phrase that motion.
I move that we approve case 180019 with a contingency that everything from engineering is approved,
Yes.
and also that if there's an additional windows on the south and west side. Correct.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, completion date, let's see, this is, we usually give 180 days, 6 months from now.
Is there support for that motion?
Support.
Moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
Thank you.
Next case is 180025 for a junkyard at 1206 North First Street.
I am David Rifkin, address 459 Gulfview.
And I'm Jeff Wood from Spicer Group, project manager, 230 South Washington. So basically here we're here to talk about the Rifkin industrial site moving from its current location to Washington Avenue. crew for about 3 months now, working on some conceptual plans and designs, and landed on the site plan that's before you. I think we've got a 40 by 60 office building planned, 50 by 100 pole barn warehouse facility, 15 by 48 employee break room, some impervious area for parking, for visitor parking, employee parking, and customer parking, as well as a truck scale and some different features that are needed for David's operation. I don't know if anybody's got any questions on the site plan, but I'd be happy to.
If I could back up, the warehouse is actually not pole barn, it's a pre-engineered metal building. It's been ordered.
This has been, you've been talking about this for more than 3 months though, right?
Yes.
It's been like
Yeah.
5 years.
6 years.
I've been around here a long time, so I know I've heard this.
Well, this is our second go-around on the property. We did about 2009.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
2011, put $3 million into it,
Yeah.
into a plant to support our shredding business. And when we got out of that space, we ended up selling that plant along with our shredder to a group out of New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's what happened.
Yeah,
What was that? Okay.
the separation plant was on the present parcel we're referring to today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it
so-
actually was on there's a 100 by, what was it, 150 by 200 concrete slab that supported that.
That's roughly in the middle of the property.
Correct,
Oh,
yep.
Okay. So I wonder what happened to that. So-
Yeah, we, the markets kind of went a different direction, and that business became hyper-competitive, the shredding business, so we ducked out of it. And,
But yeah, because I remember you had some of those streets had to be vacated so you could get the property way back then.
yeah, we actually, the company owns from First Street all the way to Sixth,
Because a lot of people didn't even know those were streets.
right?
Is that slab still in existence?
Absolutely.
And you'll be able to?
Yeah, we're gonna repurpose that, yep,
Oh, perfect.
yep.
I have a question about the move. After it takes place, what will still be at Niagara?
Per our, oh, I thought you had a question, I'm sorry. Per our agreement with the EDC, we have to take the buildings down to foundations, and we will do that. There is escrow money set aside for that. Should we not complete the project on time, we forfeit those funds. But it's my intention as an owner to take the buildings down, and then next spring, I'd like to actually go through and do some remediation on the property and screen it and level it, and actually run a screening operation there to retrieve all the metals out of the ground as we can. And then it's my intention to prepare the site for future development.
So all the buildings on that site would be taken down?
Yes,
Even across the street.
yes. Yep.
So there would be no operation of any kind there?
No, the goal is, and we still have an existing, I guess you would call it project in place with MEDC, and we've revised our phases and the scope of our plan, that if we have occupancy permit, it's before, well, it's easy, deer hunting, say November 11th, then we are granted those funds, you know, the MEDC capture for the funds spent. So our goal is to, prior to that, have occupancy permit, open up the operation, and have it running so we can shut down Niagara Street, process out the rest of the scrap, and get going on that. So, you know, got a lot of work to do.
Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
Based on my silly question, just point of information, is there a legal definition of junkyard?
Of a junkyard?
What's a junkyard?
Well, we're a scrap processing facility, we're
I
not a
see-
junkyard.
Okay, all right, I see junkyard in our
A junkyard, in
agenda.
my opinion, if you go back, is kind of like an antiquated term. It's almost like trying to associate our business with the pawn shop law, okay? Junkyard, in my opinion, refers to what we would consider an automobile recycling facility that does parts, sells secondary reusable items. We don't do that. We are a processing facility. We don't sell parts or secondary items. Everything we take in is prepared for remelting, recycling. So I would not consider our facility a junkyard at all.
Okay.
And actually, all of our licenses within the state of Michigan, in particular with our automobile dealers licenses, are for processors. We have no parts licenses.
Is this a city term?
It is a city term. It's the closest term that we have to a recycling facility is junkyard.
You know.
And part of the definition does say recycling in it, but we don't use recycling anywhere in our ordinance. It's all referred to under junkyard.
I think recycling came after your ordinance.
Yeah, our ordinance. That part of the ordinance
possible,
was
yeah.
written in 1980.
At the new site, will people still be able to drop off
Yes, oh, absolutely.
household?
Right,
Yeah.
definitely. That's a significant portion of our business
Is
still.
that
Is it?
road's already in existence, right?
Yeah.
I'm
The
sorry?
road that goes back there is already in existence.
First
Yeah,
Street,
First
yes.
Street,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
and the entrance is already constructed and built from the previous project.
So the west boundary of your property is the railroad?
The western bound, correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I assume the security fence you have now would stay?
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like, yes, definitely.
Yes, that fence is staying. I'm actually, yeah, we're gonna do that, and then I would like to have what we had previously in the plant that was there before. We actually had it was really expensive, so I don't know if we're gonna do it, but it was a virtual fence too. They had, I guess, infrared cameras for nighttime and motion cameras and all
Okay,
sorts of stuff.
Camera-based system.
Yeah,
You just don't want that, people going over the fence, coming back to my house.
we never did. I spent all that money on the system, we never needed it. I wish I had it on Niagara Street still, but,
Well, as you undoubtedly know, we've raised some concern here about the height of the berm, the existing berm, and the trees, and question of who's gonna be responsible for maintaining those in good order and that sort of thing. Do you have some thoughts on that subject?
Well, on the landscaping plan, we do show a series of coniferous trees that screen the general public from the processing plant. And I think there's, I forget the exact number, but I think there's 50 to 60 pine trees that are planted on top of the berm.
Right.
And then certainly, folks from Rifkin would be responsible for maintaining those trees so that they're in good condition.
What roughly is the height of the berm now?
I have to see it.
I'd have to look at the contours,
Is it
but
8
I'm
feet?
thinking, I don't think it's quite that tall.
Okay.
6 maybe.
So of course, the regulation says you can't stack anything higher than that. Is that an issue at all?
6 feet piles don't work well with our business, no? I would say, yeah, that might be an issue, but that's why we're looking
Yeah,
at,
we looked at several different alternatives when we were talking about screening for the general public. We looked at raising the berm, looked at a higher obstruction, decorative fence, and, those kind of things were starting to get pretty expensive, and then we started talking about landscaping and putting some tree obstructions, coniferous, pine trees, so that
Right.
the general public couldn't see it.
And so you get these, they're fairly small, they grow bigger. Is that a problem at all when they're still brand new and they're not that big yet?
Well, when they're brought in, they're probably gonna be 4 to 6 feet tall.
4 to 6 feet
so
tall, I think is what they're spec,
Yeah,
right?
the spec was 4 to 6 feet on top of a 6-foot berm, you got 12 feet. Nobody from a passing motor vehicle is gonna be able to see over that.
No, but there probably would still be some ability to see between them for a few years. I'm not sure if that would be a big issue or not.
Well, I think the general line of sight anyways, so if you look at the east side of that property, there's not gonna be any scrap on the east side of the property. That's where all the buildings, offices, our break room is, et cetera. And then the scrap processing and drop-off areas are on the west side of the property,
Oh.
which generally falls lower anyways, and you could see that, it should be on the elevation
that's-
chart anyways.
That's a very good
Okay.
point.
So and I actually drove over there and did, you know, the old-fashioned thumbnail, looking at
Yeah,
it
well,
from the parking lot of the
Sure.
church, and it all falls off to the west. So there's not gonna be any scrap processing on the direct east side of the property. It's all on the west, so.
So if you're driving in a car, you're only sitting about 5 feet above the street, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
you'd be looking up anyway,
Mm-hmm.
somewhat.
Exactly.
So if it's on the west side of the property, then,
It helps. It's
Yeah.
lower than the street. That should be on the, what do you call it, the, show the elevations right now.
any other questions from anyone? It's been a long time coming.
It has been. It was, so actually in 2008, if I can give you a little narrative, I actually bought a bigger shredder than what we had here, okay? And funny story, my father's in Europe, and I had the shredder, I paid the deposit already, and I was waiting to do my deal for the financing, and he calls up and he said, "We have a deal or not?" And I said, "Not yet." And he said, "Why?" And I said, "I don't like the way things are going." And he said, "I don't want to talk to you until you have a deal." And I said, "Okay, well then I'll talk to you later." And then next thing you know, the crash hit in October, and I didn't talk to him, and we canceled the order then, and we didn't feel much pain from that, but we grew our business significantly in anticipation of, you know, fully doing the move here, and go forward, you know, a few burps in the scrap business, industry-wide, nationally. You know, we ended up getting out of the shredding business. We sold 2 of our branches that we opened in Lansing and Traverse City to help supplement the flow of our scrap to that. And we've spent a couple years righting the ship just so we can focus on this. So we've actually downsized and retooled our business, getting back to the old-fashioned way of doing things, and just for the core purpose that we knew that this was coming up here. So, you know, we're definitely looking forward to this. I know our future's not on Niagara Street, and I want to vacate that and have something, you know, to look forward to down the road in terms of development on Niagara Street.
What is the acreage on Niagara Street?
We're using 14 right now. The company actually owns more, but a lot of it is in the west end of that, which is not usable.
Does it go all the way to the railroad there also?
There's a couple of easements in the back, but on the, what would be the south end, we go to the tracks,
Yes.
and then it goes to the west, into the swamp quite a bit. There is an easement to the west, correct? A railroad
Correct.
easement, and there is a power easement. Then it comes back to the north, through some more swamp towards Reuben Daniels, and there's more old railroad easements back there. So,
And that's 14 acres?
all of it is, I think, 28, but
Yeah, I
we
think it's
operate on
28 to 30.
14.
Oh, okay. The new site is how big?
We're 14, that's
16 from 1st to 6th, I believe, and from Washington to the railroad tracks.
And there are parcels of that for sale now on Washington?
That goes from, God, what street is that? That would be,
On the north end.
we have 16 acres for sale. In total, we own 31 acres on that block.
On which block?
From First, all the way around,
Okay,
going towards crop production up to 6th, where
okay,
the 699 hall was,
yeah,
that's 31 acres.
okay.
And we have 16 of it for sale right now.
Oh, okay. Any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion which possibly should take into account our requirement for a minimum 10 acres, as well as, well, I'm not sure if there was any other issue.
What I had written down is that the security fence will remain and that there will be trees planted on top of the berm.
Okay,
Yeah. Let's get the plan.
motion,
Move that we approve case 180025, with all the recommendations that you and Mike have mentioned. With the addition of the trees and
the minimum size.
minimum size.
Support.
Okay.
Moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your support.
Oh, again, on this one though, there should also be included the contingent on engineering approval.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So I will amend my motion for the existing, to add on contingent on all recommendations from engineering.
All those in favor of the motion as amended? Support? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We are done.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Good luck.
Take care.